Hey, Jake Ray back here at 90s BBall Cards. So, got a fun video for you. I've got what you've probably been anticipating, the question and answer video. So, I got some questions that you have submitted. I'm going to run through those and answer them. You know, I'm going to try to be pretty concise with the answers, but, you know, if there's any sort of information that you guys have asked for details on, I'll make sure to get those to you. So, let's not waste any more time and jump right in. Alright, so our first question is from our friend Michael Moeller. You probably know him on Instagram as XX the Beast, and he's on a lot of other platforms under that name. And he's also on our live stream for the Jordan PMG Green. So if I can figure out how to do this on YouTube, I'll have a card slide out, and you can go check that video out of that live stream where Michael was on with some other friends. So he had a kind of funny question. He asked, were you a child actor? And he had a little picture. I'll try to slide that in. Here. And he has me and the Problem Child, which was a video series that came out in the 90s. And so you probably already knew this, Michael, but no, I'm not a child, or I was not a child actor. And actually that picture that you have there of, you know, the Problem Child had a little bit of a gap in his front teeth, as do I. And I actually didn't used to have this gap in my teeth. It was something that I was eating a bag of Sun Chips that were a little bit old when I was a teenager. And it actually wedged in between my teeth and created a gap, and yes, that was very painful. But I wasn't a child actor. My mom was actually approached when I was younger a number of times, according to her, I can't remember, but about me doing some modeling. So I'll show you guys some pictures of me as a child so you can see that I was not a child actor, but you know, here's... Okay. So... thanks for that, Michael. That was a fun question, but no, not a child actor. So my next one was submitted from a friend of mine from my childhood, Alan Kimball, and he asked, what happened to the fro? So I'll slide some pictures in for you guys of me with an afro when I was a teenager. And so my kind of snarky answer is I grew up. But no, in all honesty, you know, an afro isn't the most professional thing in the world. I just kind of grew out of it. I had a lot of fun with that when I was a kid, and it was time to move on. But my other answer is my daughter took it from me. So I'll show you guys some pictures of my daughter, and she definitely has my hair in a lot of ways. Alright, so the next question is from a good friend of mine. He submitted on Instagram under MitchFamily123, but I know him as Dan P. So he said, as children, we would put mostly baseball cards in our spokes of our bikes for, quote, coolness. What NBA cards would you place on your bike without hurting any valuable collectibles like MJ's, while adding some quote-unquote status to the front tire, so something kind of cool. And he asked for the top 5. Now there are a ton of cards that I could go into that aren't high value cards, but really cool looking cards, so narrowing it down to 5 is pretty difficult, Dan, but hopefully I'm going to make you proud. So I have some cards here to show, in no particular order, but just ones that I thought would be cool in bike tires. So 99 2000 Upper Deck Holograph FX, so you get a pretty cool holographic pattern there. And you know, it's a base set card, but really cool looking. I thought that would be pretty cool in the sunlight. Similar, we've got 99 2000 Fleer Metal. So here's a shack, and you've got a kind of cool pattern. There's a pretty thick card, so I think they'd probably make a pretty cool sound in your bike spokes. They probably actually also last pretty well. Another really cool looking card I think would be fun in the sun. Then we've got 96 97 UD3. So this is a somewhat acetate card. Obviously you can see it's die cut, so I think that would be pretty unique. I think that'd be really cool in your bike spokes. But it also, being a plastic card, would probably last a little bit longer and also make a pretty neat sound. So I thought that would be a cool one. And then kind of unique one here, we've got 97 98 Flair Showcase Wave of the Future. And this card actually, it's like a card within a card. There's like a plastic covering over it with almost like a gel type substance on the inside. So these cards aren't terribly valuable, not a lot of good players. This is an Austin Crozier. But I thought that would be pretty cool looking, and it might be kind of messy though, as you know, it wears down your bike spokes. That glue might come out, and who knows what what you might get inside. But I thought that would be a kind of cool one also. A really neat one that I thought was the 98-99 Molten Metal Explosion. So these are metal cards. You can probably hear that. So there's a lot of players, Eldon Campbell. There's also players like Jordan and Penny that are valuable. But there's a lot of guys like Eldon Campbell or a Jeff Hornacek that probably not terribly valuable. But it being a metal card, it would probably be pretty cool sounding in your spokes, and definitely give you some cool points around the neighborhood. So Dan, those are what I would throw in my bike spokes if I could throw something in there. Thank you for that question. So we've got a number of questions from our buddy Chris, 90s B-ball card or 90s basketball card stash on Instagram. He also has the podcast with two friends known as House of Jordans. Check that out. He was also in our live stream of the Jordan PMG. So check that video out for a little bit more from Chris. So he submitted a number of questions. So I have those peppered out throughout this, but we've got a slog of 5 questions from Chris, and then we've got a couple more later. So the first one is, what is the most immovable card in your PC? So what's the card that I wouldn't get rid of no matter what, essentially? So, this is a kind of difficult question for me. It's kind of like asking me to pick my favorite child. Luckily, I only have one child right now, but I love a lot of my cards. There's a lot of them that I can't even imagine selling, but I narrowed it down to 2 for you. And these are just really sentimental cards. So the first one, and both of these were actually on my top 10 PC. So my Allen Iverson build your own card from 99-2000 hoops. This is one that I talked about that I had redeemed. I have all the packaging material. This is in its original packaging that I got it from Fleer Skybox in. So this is a really nostalgic card. I've had a lot of offers on this card from other people who are collecting the set. Just a card that I can't see myself moving at any point. And then the other one is the 93-94 Topps Finest Penny Hardaway Rookie Refractor. So I talked about this being kind of like my holy grail card when I was growing up. So this is one that when I got it, I was very excited, and I just can't imagine not having this in my PC. So definitely hang on to that one. So thanks, Chris, for that question. All right, so the next question from Chris is, what are the top 5 insert sets of all time? Now, I'm making some assumptions here, Chris. So I'm assuming that you're asking what are my top 5 insert sets, and I'm assuming that we're excluding parallels from that, so we're excluding refractors and a whole lot of other stuff. And I'm also assuming that we're going for what I prefer, which is design, kind of collecting what you like over value. Because we could talk about the top 5 value cards, and obviously, that's a whole different ballgame. So let's jump into this one, and in no particular order here. So we've got the 96-97 net assets. So I've got a Jordan here that I'm showing you, but there's a whole bunch of players. I absolutely love this set. I'm a sucker for die cuts, and this was the first really significantly die cut and laser cut card that I saw. And I've loved it since the day I've seen these cards. Actually, it's a set that I've been tempted to try to complete at some point, so maybe I will in the future, but love these cards. And this was actually kind of a precursor to some of the other really great sets like Prime Twine and other ones, so that's one of them. I talked about this one in my top 10 PC review video. So the 1997 SPX HoloView Heroes. I absolutely love this set. It's not the most rare card in the set or anything like that, but just gorgeous cards. I love the design of that, and again, another die cut. And you're probably seeing a theme here. We've got another die cut. 96-97 Flair Showcase Hot Shot. So another one that happens to be one of my more valuable cards, but just a gorgeous, really cool, revolutionary insert set for that time. Having a die cut like that was really unique. And then we've got 97-98 Fleer Ultra Star Power Supreme. So this is the third variation. The acetate die cut, everything that I love in there. So just a gorgeous set again. And then the other one is one that I don't have an example of, but 96-97 EX2000 a cut above. So the penny is one that is kind of top of my list of search to find for a good price. So that is a set that I absolutely love. And actually, the football version has even more die cut, so it's die cut on the top and the bottom. Which I like considerably. So I wish the basketball was like that, but I think I'll probably pick up a football one as well because I like that design just as much as the basketball, if not a little bit more. So thank you for that question, Chris. And jumping into your next one, what are the top 5 90s boxes to rip right now, so today? And again, I'm assuming that we're talking about value on this question. So This is my take on it, and some of these boxes we haven't seen pop up for sale in a long time. So I'm making some assumptions on value, but this is, I think, what we probably go with. So 97-98 Metal Universe. You know, we've seen with the Jordan PMG, but PMGs in green and red are going like crazy. So that 97-98 Metal Universe box would be, you know, one of the top ones. Similarly, 97-98 Metal Universe Championship. So it's a, you know, different set, but again, PMGs in that are hot items. We've got another one from 97-98 EX2001. You know, you could have the 96-97 version, but I know that the 97-98, the credentials are rarer. They're lower serial numbered. And you've got the Jambalayas in there and a whole bunch of other really cool cards. So that is definitely a top one for a lot of collectors. 98-99 EX Century, so the next year of EX, was another great one with credentials and a lot of other insert sets. So that's another top one for a lot of people. And then 96-97 Topps Chrome is skyrocketing right now. So that box, you know, getting the Kobe rookie, getting the MJ, getting any of the refractors, but that was the first year of Topps Chrome, so people love that. And though that's going to round out my top 5 in no particular order, mind you. And then the next one, kind of a similar question, is what were the top 5 boxes to rip during the 90s? So back in the day when they came out. So I'm making some assumptions based on my memory, but these were the ones that I thought were the tops then. So 96-97 Topps Finest was really a hot set, getting the Kobe rookies, Iverson rookies, all those guys. 97-98 Flair Showcase, that box was gorgeous. The display of it was awesome, but the inserts and everything with the parallels were great there. So that was another hot one. 96-97 Flair Showcase similarly, but you had even better inserts with Hot Shots and some other cards. So that was a hot one then. 1997 SPX was a really premium product, 1 card per pack. And you saw the Hollow View Heroes, but those were gorgeous cards, and those things did not sit long on shelves at all. And then 96-97 SPX also was a hot one when that set of SPX first came out from Upper Deck with all those holograms and everything. People went wild for those. I remember, you know, my dad thinking that those were just the best thing that had ever happened to the hobby. So those are the top 5 that I think, you know, most of the people who remember buying boxes in the 90s would recall. All right. Next one from Chris again. We've got, if you could only bring back one insert set and have it exist in the modern era, what would it be? And I'm going to assume with this one that you're also asking if it was going to exist every year, so kind of like the hyped insert set with Prism and some other ones from Panini. I will preface this with the insert set from Panini that is a modern insert set that I absolutely love and I think is a gorgeous looking insert set, and it's actually blown up this year, is the Kaboom insert set. So I love that. Looks kind of like a 90s insert set to me, and I love the cartoons on there. But if I was bringing back a 90s insert set, and this might be a little bit of a shock to some of you guys, but 98-99 Molten Metal Fusion. So these are cards that I just absolutely love, with the laser cut with the player. You know, you get the name, but you've also got a picture of the player in color. You know, not the most rare cards. You've got some of these that are serial numbered, some of them aren't. So the first series isn't serial numbered, the second series is. But I would love to see these types of cards, and I'm sure they're probably pretty expensive to make, but if these made a return, you know, get a group of 10 players each year, different players, maybe a bunch of rookies or, you know, what have you. I think this would be a really cool insert set to see in every single pack of, you know, one of the Panini products. So that's the answer for that one. The next one, another one from Michael XX the Beast. Which 90s product do you like to open more than any other? So I have an answer that I think is going to surprise you a little bit. It's 96-97 Upper Deck Collector's Choice. That was a set that was really at the beginning when I was collecting, but I loved the photography in there. They had a great rookie class with some of my favorite players. They had some fun insert sets with those cards that you had, you know, kind of mini cards. You had 3 players on with the perforated edges. So just some stuff that I loved as a kid. You can get them still pretty inexpensively, you know, $1 or so a pack. And it was the same back then. It was pretty inexpensive. Not a ton of value, but a lot of fun stuff. So 96-97 Collector's Choice is the one that I love to rip. The next one we had submitted on Instagram from Dennis Rodman Collection. So this is a little bit more in depth of a question, kind of put me to the test. So he would like to hear some hypothesis on estimated production runs of non-numbered 90s insert sets based on pack odds, guessing at the total box/pack production rates. So he said he's always wondered about those production releases. So, looking at some of the sets like game dated from Upper Deck in 97-98, we've got Jambalaya 97-98 EX. We've got Ultra Stars Gold from 97-98 Ultra, so a lot of stuff in 97-98. But those are just some of the examples of sets that were very rare pulls, very hard pulls, but they didn't have a serial number. So there's been a lot of speculation, and to be completely honest, I don't have any way of clearly answering this question. So there's no way to know for sure what the production run was, how many boxes or packs were created of a certain product. So without that fact and evidence, we really can't determine exactly how many. There's been speculation on the Jambalayas, for example, that those would have been numbered to about 250. Pure speculation. Could have been 500, could have been 100. People are thinking it was around 250 based on the frequency that those come up on the market. But again, pure speculation. The game dated set is one of those that people have speculated based on the odds on that. Maybe 100, 150, 200, 250, something around that ballpark. Again, you're really kind of shooting in the dark. And then the Ultra Stars Gold, maybe 100, maybe even fewer than that. So it's really hard to tell. It's really a good question, though, that I don't know if we'll ever get a clear answer from, especially with a company like Fleer Skybox being out of business. We'll probably never hear from them, and maybe Upper Deck at some point we can get that type of data from them, but it's really difficult to tell. So thanks for the question. I don't have a great answer for you. It's all pure speculation. So the next one was submitted on Facebook from our friend Kyle Weaver, who's a great Keith Van Horn collector. You should check out his stuff at some point. What's the best box of cards that I've ever opened? Why? Was it perceived value, player pulls for my PC, just how the cards looked, how rare they were, etc. So I would have to say a box of 97-98 Flair Showcase. I got that for a Christmas present, I believe, for my father. My brother and I split the box. We worked through that. We pulled 2 legacy cards. One was of Damon Stoudemire, and that was a row 3, and then there's a row 2 of Antonio McDyess. So having 2 legacy cards in one box was phenomenal. We pulled, I believe, the row 3, the row 2, and the row 1 of Jordan. We got Tim Duncan rookie of row 3 and row 2. We got a Kobe of row 2, Shaq of row 2. So, just about every single big star, we got one of the parallels of them, along with those 2 legacy collection cards. So I thought that was a phenomenal box. Now, nothing compared to the hot box that Michael Moeller had, but that was probably the best box that I can remember. So thank you for that question, Kyle. The next one from our friend Josh over at Cardboard Chronicles. His question was, how do we get more people involved in the hobby organically? So I'm going to have to take a sip for this one. This is kind of an in-depth one. So I think there's a couple different ways to decompose this. So first off, I think cards like that Jordan PMG Green, high value card selling gets a lot more attention to the hobby. So getting that initial attention is what could grab new collectors or bring collectors back. I think the way that we keep collectors that kind of get that initial spark of interest through something like that is by providing them information and education. So stuff like what we do here, providing the content, just being a good community, being friendly. If people have questions on value or question on what they're trying to collect, just questions in general, providing them either the content that they can consume to get that information, or being friendly and approachable, whether they're on Facebook groups or what have you, and trying to help them answer those questions so they can get knowledgeable and really start to enjoy the stuff. And then I think also the attainable cards, the cards that aren't really, really high value cards, are the ones that are going to attract people. So I think it's kind of like an economies of scale. It's cool to see the thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on sold prices, but if I'm new to the hobby or I'm just getting back into it, that type of stuff really probably isn't attainable. It's not something you're going to jump right into. It's not a gateway. I think kind of those $20 to $50 cards are kind of the stuff that people can see that are really cool, but they can also afford them. They can fit on any budget essentially. So showing them the cards that can fit into their budget for the players that they like, that are still going to bring some of that cool factor is, I think, how we kind of get more people involved. That's just kind of my view from the couch, but let me know what you think as well. I'd love to hear multiple opinions on that, because I'm sure we all have different approaches to it. The next question is from T Collectibles on Instagram. So he always wondered, if a card is deemed fake and or altered from a grading company, PSA, BGS, what have you, shouldn't the grading company compensate the current owner, in parentheses, if they purchased it and later on found out that was not the case, that it was real? So I'm going to break this question down a little bit. So if the question is really looking at, if you bought a card, let's just say, I bought this Iverson card on eBay for $200, and I went to get it graded by PSA, and they said this card was fake. It is definitely not the grading company's responsibility to refund me that $200 that I purchased. That's between me and the seller, the buyer and the seller, if that card comes back as fake. So that's not on the grading companies, but I think what you might have been getting at is, if this card was deemed fake and I spent, let's say it's $20 to get PSA to grade it, and I'm not sure on the exact price, but should they refund me that $20? So I think that the answer is probably not. They really are in the business of letting you know what you have, and if what you have is real, then telling you how good of condition it is. So in telling me that my card is potentially fake or altered, they've done their job. They've done what I've paid them for. They've provided the service that I've asked them to, especially if they case something as altered, and now they're putting raw materials into it as well for the plastic and everything. While it's not very expensive raw materials, potentially, and I don't know their cost of goods sold, but they're providing a service and they're providing materials at that point. So you're spending the $20. It's a little bit of a gamble. You might have a fake card on your hands, but you're basically asking them to tell you if what you have is fake and if it's in good condition. So sometimes the answer isn't what we want to hear from them, but that's what we're paying them to do. So if that is the answer, if they say it's not what we want to hear, then they still get the money for providing that service. So that's my take on it. I don't think that they owe us anything back if they provide the service completely. So thank you for that question. Getting back to some more questions from Chris, 90s basketball card stash. Name one innovation that you wish you could implement in the hobby. So really good question. Really got my wheels spinning on this one, Chris. So I think if I could implement one thing, what I would love to see is a centralized repository online that is not only a checklist, but is also a real-time price guide. So I know PWCC does a great job with some of their marketplace values. You can go and get real-time values based on comps by looking at their list of comps, and you can do some calculation there. Beckett tries to do a good job for some certain pricing that is in real time for certain auctions and sales, but it's not a full breadth. And I'm not sure how real time that is. But the other piece of that is the checklist. So I know that there's places like Trading Card Database online that does a great job of being a checklist, but again, that's not a price guide. So really kind of merging the data that you get from PWCC, the checklist that you get from a place like either a Beckett or a Trading Card Database, putting those together, something that's real time, something that you could search. If you're looking at the Jordan Net assets, and you can search whether it's in a parameter of 3 years or 5 years or 10 years or 1 year, and see what the aggregate is of all those sales. That's something I'd love to see. It would make it easier for new collectors to get in and see what they have for value, or if you're trying to be a set collector, it's an easy checklist to know what you're missing, who the players are, so you can easily go out and identify those cards. So that's an innovation that I'd love to see happen, and I don't think we're too far off. I think that that's something that there's a lot of companies that have all of the data and all the capability. It's just a matter of implementing it and seeing the value. So thank you for that one, Chris. And then the next one, or the last one from Chris, is if you could bring back only one 90s product and have it every single year, just like Prism, which product would it be? So for me, hands down, I would have to say the Flair Showcase product line. And we're really talking about the designs from 96, 97, 97, 98, 98, 99. Those are the designs that I loved from Flair Showcase. So if we could have a product like that come back every single year, I would be ecstatic. I don't really care as much about the inserts on those, although you definitely need some inserts that are going to look cool and that kind of fit the theme. You know, the parallels really drove that, but again, they didn't have so many parallels like they have on Prism with all the different colors. So the base set design is really what captivated me on that. So that's what I'd say, Flare Showcase for sure. Next question here from Dars 90s Cards on Instagram. If you could compile an entire product made up of nothing but existing 90s and early 2000s cards, what would it look like? Pick a base design, low-end insert, one per box design, one per case. And then he had a second question we'll get into after this one. So that's a really good question, and one thing that I really love is staying with certain themes. So the 97-98 SPX with that same die cut pattern throughout the entire set, same with 1996 and their 97-98 product, is something that I loved. I love die cuts. I love acetate. So 2000-2001 UD Slam is another great one. So I would really want something that would carry a full theme, and really, for me, 97 SPX is really the one that I would kind of copy. So you know, you've got the base set design, and then you've got the gold parallel for, you know, an easy one per 4 packs, and then you've got the Holo View Heroes and then the promotion. So the Holo View Heroes were 1 per box, and the promotion was about 1 per case. So that's probably what I would copy. And then you could probably play with the die cut each year, and you know, that would probably be my answer for that question. But there's a number of different ways you could go with it: a hologram set, an acetate set, what have you. Then his second question was, when will you sell your Penny Skyview? So I know that we've had some back and forth about that Penny Skyview. I have some duplicates of. So yes, I'm gonna get that to you. You know, we'll close a deal on that at some point. So one of the things that I need to do first is I need to go through my entire collection of pennies. I'm going to consolidate them, and then I'm going to sell a bunch of my duplicates off to other collectors of penny cards. So don't worry, I have that Skyview set aside for you. It's not going anywhere until you get it. So don't worry. But yes, I will have other penny duplicates as well that I'll be selling to other penny collectors that are interested. So that'll be coming at some point when I get the time. I've kind of focused on getting you guys content, and I love doing this for you. So selling some of my cards is definitely taking a backseat to that for right now. And then the last question that we have is again from Kyle. So if you were part of a design team from Skybox, Topps, whatever company you could choose, what type of insert or parallel would you have liked to see added? Whether it was a base design, serial numbered, pack odds, or were the 90s just as good as they could be without any changes? So one thing that I have always said that I would have loved to have seen is in 98-99 Topps Chrome, there was an insert set that I would have loved to see in a refractor. So it's actually the Championship Spirit. So this is a Michael Dickerson. There was a Mike Bibby. There's a Michael Jordan. There were a whole bunch of players in this set. I think this would have been a gorgeous card in a refractor. So that's one thing that I would have loved to have seen. But getting outside of that really specific example, kind of a more generalized answer, I love die cuts and acetates. So I would have loved to have seen more die cuts and more acetates. And you know, when you combine those two in a card, kind of like the Ultra Powers or the Star Powers Supreme, you know, you've got die cut and acetate. You know, but also you've got stuff like the titanium. So I would have loved to have seen more cards like that. Upper Deck did a good job with doing one or the other in some sets, but really combining both in a really tasteful way. So those are the questions. I really appreciate you guys submitting all these questions. I hope you enjoyed me going through kind of my views from this side of the couch. Question of the day for you is, you know, what do you think of this Q&A? Is this something that you'd like to see duplicated? Or what other information would you guys like to hear me pontificate on or my views on? So as always, thanks for watching. I enjoy discussing and answering your questions. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any videos in the future. New videos drop on Wednesdays. Any bonus videos will drop on Fridays. And thanks.